Here are 5 social norms we need to bring back collectively immediately. Number 1, introducing yourself. The amount of people who don't go out of their way to introduce themselves is appalling. Lately, I've noticed, especially in larger social gatherings, like the majority of people just do not introduce themselves. Super off-putting. Which brings me to number 2, introducing others. Anytime I am bringing a significant other or a friend into a space where they don't know people and I do, I always introduce them to other people.
I found this video fascinating. Fascinating what he thought the 5 things were, and then also what the greater context is, right? I feel like we are seeing a lot of people on social media, but also in real life who are just like frustrated with the lack of common courtesy. They're frustrated with the way we've been treating each other, and there is a desire either to return to re-embracing different social norms or and to think about how is it that we want to structure our relationships with each other going forward. What is it we can do to reclaim community? What are some of the like really small things? In permaculture we say slow small solutions. What are the small solutions that can help us rekindle healthy social norms, that can help us rekindle relationships and begin those initial tentative steps at reforging or forging for the first time community? Now, part of this I think is because we have been you know, we're all lonely and we're still isolated and we're still facing all of the long-term consequences of COVID isolation. We're facing the long-term consequences of 10 years of Trumpism, of MAGA in this country, where people are afraid to talk to their neighbors. They're angry at their neighbors. They're afraid of their neighbors. It is the isolation from COVID, from like the pure lockdown aspect of it, but then it is the social isolation of cultural division, of this person didn't care enough to wear a mask to protect my health. And then over here, you have people saying, look at these people wearing face diapers. They're a bunch of idiots. And then you have also the political divide of people who are in a cult, people who worship Donald Trump, people who are looking at their neighbor and saying like that, that person doesn't deserve basic human rights. And then at the same time, you have leftists and liberals who are screaming at Republicans who say, we voted for Donald Trump because America sucks and every working class person has a miserable existence and Trump promised us something better. Like, we have this huge divide in our country that has fractured our communities in really significant and impactful ways. And of course, that leads to complete erosion, deterioration of common courtesy, treating other people with dignity and respect, and a bunch of these social norms. So which ones are worth reclaiming and which ones aren't? Okay, so let's talk about the 5 things he mentioned. And then I want to add some more. And I would love to ask you in the comments if you could let me know what you think are the social norms that we should reinstitute, or what are the new ones that we should add. Okay, so he says, number 1, introducing yourself. Yeah, totally. This is one. I'm very introverted, but at protests, at community organizing events, at potlucks, at social gatherings, what have you, I'm always like, hi, my name is Angela. I feel like sometimes I'm in a circle. I'm the only person. We're all standing around awkwardly. Hi, I'm Angela. What's your name? Hi, hi, hi. And I know that a lot of us have gotten out of the habit of shaking hands because of COVID. I've started doing it again, and I will shake your hand. You don't have to shake mine, but I will shake your hand. I'm very introverted. It feels uncomfortable every time I have to go out of my way to introduce myself. I appreciate very much events that have name tags for people where you can put your name and if you want your pronouns on it. I think that that's really, really helpful, but it doesn't take the place of the human connection of introducing yourself, right? And adding on to that, where he said, like, I facilitate introductions if I'm bringing my friend to an event. Yes, I was raised very much to help facilitate introductions and to be that person who helps people learn a little bit about each other, get to know each other, helps diffuse some of that initial awkwardness. Right? We go, oh, hey, Mark, I'd love to introduce you to my friend Clem. Clem, this is Mark. Mark, this is Clem. Mark, did you know that Clem went to Rutgers where she majored in geology and she now works for the USGS? Clem, my friend Mark here, we did roller derby together for 8 years and he has the most amazing power slide. Just little tidbits. And I often make sure that I'm saying everybody's name a bunch of times because I know that I'm really, really bad with names. So I don't just say like, oh, Mark Clem. I say Mark Clem, Clem, Mark, Mark Clem. Lots of repetition, right? We learn things with repetition. And then if we add a little fact to it, it helps really connect those folks and open up topics for them to talk about. It's kindness. It's kindness. It's a skill. It's a little tiny gift we're giving everybody, and it is well worthwhile.
Helps make conversation and helps people feel less awkward, etc. Number 3, yielding to movement. As simple as getting over in the other lane to let somebody pass you, getting out of the way for a biker, for a runner, somebody who's walking quicker than you. Number 4, complimenting others, but specifically your friends. Like if I am ever doing something social with friends, we're going to a dinner, we're grabbing drinks, I always make it a point to compliment their outfit or the way they look. Complimenting is good energy. It lifts people's spirits.
Now, I didn't really think about this giving way, yielding the right of way, but he's absolutely right. What does it look like to not pass people on the right, to understand that the passing lane is the left? Like common courtesy in a very vehicle heavy culture extends beyond our face to face relationships. We can have courtesy and we can begin to humanize and respect each other when we're behind the wheel. So I appreciated that point. I wasn't going to go there at all. That wasn't really on the tip of my brain. When I saw this video, I thought about how can we extend small measures of kindness to other people in public? Instead of being suspicious of everyone in public, what can we do to make everybody's day a little bit easier? What are the small ways that we could offer to ease somebody's burden just a little bit? Help that little old lady get her groceries out to the car, that mom who is struggling with her toddler who's melting down. How can you be a not judge, how can you offer help and compassion?
Number 5, returning consideration. Meaning, if someone goes out of their way to try to do something for me, I will always try to find opportunity to return the same favor.
What if we operated from the premise of everybody in the United States is shouldering a great burden? Everybody is struggling. Most people are struggling in tremendously difficult, awful ways that we don't understand and we cannot perceive. But what if we just default assumed this person is having a hard time, is bearing a great burden, and what can I do to add a little bit of lightness to their day? I think there's another layer to it as well. We have had over the last 10 or 15 years or so this line that gets regurgitated a lot on social media. And also, I think just in discourse, like in real life events, I've seen it as well. This, you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody anything. And I think that has been a response to women feeling like they had to do emotional labor for men. And I think there were some good initial thoughts in terms of the origins of this saying. But you guys, that's just toxic individualism. That's just toxic individualism, which is, interwoven into the core of the American identity and, goes back to the beginnings, the foundings of our country. We do owe other people. We do have an obligation to other people. We do owe people something, and this whole line of you don't owe anybody anything is so wrong and so harmful. It hurts ourselves and it hurts our society as a whole. In permaculture, right, the second ethic is people care. We understand that everybody is interconnected. Not only are we individuals who have a duty of care for other people. Not only do we have obligations, we do owe other people, but also when we decide not to honor that duty to other people, we're hurting ourselves because we are connected. We are connected. There's no such thing as self-sufficiency. There's only community interdependence. And you can acknowledge the reality that we are connected to each other, and you can harness that reality and you can honor that reality, or you can try and deny it and hurt yourself and hurt our society as a whole. And I think in the United States for a while, we've been operating under this false notion that we don't owe anybody anything. We don't have a social contract, that we don't have the expectation to care for each other, that has really, really harmed us. It's been so detrimental. So how about we set it aside? How about we decide that, hey, you know what? There is such a thing as caring for each other. There is such a thing as understanding that we have a duty to protect the most vulnerable, be it children, be it the elderly, disabled folks, trans folks, folks who are in any way struggling a little bit harder than us. We have a duty to take care of them, and it's a privilege and an honor, and it will reap us all many benefits as a society. It will be a net good for all of us. I want to conclude here by reading from my final line from my notes. I said, capitalism tells us that we can do whatever we want to get a bag, and we don't have a duty to the planet, to future generations, or to our neighbors. In permaculture, we say slow, small solutions. What would it look like to reclaim this concept of interdependence and a sense of duty and care for each other in really small and tangible ways? What does it mean? Not to have manners or politeness, but to have connection and community. How is that a rejection reflection of all of the harm that we have been perpetuating on each other, and how is it the beginning of forging a new and a better way.